Welcome back, everybody, to Say It Twice. We are back here. My name is Byron.
My name is Guy.
My name's Eli.
Just kidding. That is not Guy. For personal reasons, Guy couldn't be here, unfortunately, but he will be back on here soon. If you are returning, thank you for the support. If you are new, welcome. This is clearly not Guy, but this is my sister, Karen. So, Karen, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name's Karen Hubbard, and I'm Byron's sister. Proud to be here. I do a lot, so I'm sure it'll probably come up in the podcast at some point, and I'll get into more of that. But happy to be here. Excited to talk about stuff. I don't know what the agenda is. I'm kind of scared, but we're going to get into it. I promise to be open.
What do you do for a living?
Circle the drain.
Stop.
So right now, what I do for a living, it's a mix of a lot of different things. So I'll start with this. I'm an engineer and I work in venture capital. And right now what that looks like is supporting anywhere from 5 to 7 portfolio companies a day in their startup strategy. So essentially for a living, I build businesses and scale cities. Right now I'm doing a lot of work in Indianapolis as well as Detroit and meeting a lot of people, just hyper connecting and serving a lot of startup founders. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the podcast.
That is super awesome. Can you explain like what got you, how did you get into venture capitalism?
So the first time I heard of venture capital, I'll switch to saying VC. VC is literally just an industry, just like how engineering is a function or like a job role. VC is an industry. So VC is investing in higher risk companies, and you can do that at different stages. The stage that I prioritize or kind of specialize in right now is early stage startups. So like they're very young companies. So like they have an idea, they have a product, but that's it. They don't have a strategy, and they either need someone to like believe in them and then write a check for that. And so I help partners make decisions about a company's like investability profile. Essentially what I do all day is go like, hey, you should give them money. And like, okay, cool. How much? And I'm thinking like 5 million. Cool. And they're like, yeah, that works. And then as far as like what I do as far as follow-on support, so I give the recommendation to the partner. They can either take it or leave it. And then depending on my ability to like kind of speak to whatever they're building, I like follow on as like an advisor and sometimes like in a board position too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So when I said circling the drain, it's because it can be very taxing, but it's incredibly fun. Like you're consistently living on the edge. It's like skydiving every day. That's what it feels like.
Skydiving every day would be horrible.
It's actually terrible. I have been skydiving before.
Anyways, thanks for the introduction. I'm really happy that you're here. I know we're siblings, so we talk every day. I know you guys get along pretty well, especially when I'm not in the room. Every time I come back, y'all are just cackling about something, and I always feel like I missed something, but it's okay. But we're going to move into our first segment, mental health check. So how's everybody doing today? How's life?
It's just going. It's moving along, trudging up the hill. Little engine that could,
Are you good, bro?
I don't think he is. I think he's lying.
Are you good, bro? This is a safe space, my guy.
This week was just long. It was just
what made it long?
It's just long. Nights turned into days. Just at work, didn't go home until like super early in the morning. Then had to repeat it like 2 or 3 hours later. Mm-hmm. So my days just kind of merged together. This week felt like one long ass day.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. No, and bro, especially with coaching. I'm there at least from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. most days. And it like, what day was it last week? It was like Wednesday, and I straight up thought it was Monday for like 2 days. Like I did not know what day it was. Like I'm just working. And granted, I love the work that I'm doing, but like it's taking up so much of my time, so much of my energy. And especially when I'm in a stage where I'm like between trying to decide like what I want to do long term, like it's made things especially difficult. Like recently I toured a real estate firm on Monday, and they're about to get a brand new office. They're growing super quickly. They offer really good checks, but it's like, okay, do I? But it's like, okay, do I want to, step away from football, right, and put myself into a job that I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna love, right, or, do I take a chance with coaching and stick with it, and hope that I go somewhere bigger, right? But no, I get what you mean. My semester's been pretty long already, and I don't even know how many weeks I'm in. I'd be forgetting about my homework assignments and forgetting what I'm supposed to do that day. So, no, I get what you mean. And the weeks have been long. What about you, Karen? How you been?
I don't know, specifically just because I can't find I can't find a word to describe the feeling of how I'm doing. But I guess I feel confident in general. Like I'm in a space like where I'm kind of removing all of like the super high charged emotions like anger or like overexcitement about stuff, because like sometimes when I'm overexcited I get my hopes up about stuff, and it impacts my discernment. But or if I'm really angry, that also impacts my discernment too. But I feel like I'm right in the middle where I'm like content and confident.
Yeah, bro. I've been, like, you both know what I've been going through. I've been going through so much lately. It's been ridiculous. So it's been tough, to say the least. But you and Mom supporting me has been really important. You supporting me has been really important. Like, I had a really great summer. Really, really great summer. But it's like every day there's always something on my heart. Always. So it's like I'm constantly having to take my mind off of something or think about something else, or make sure that I'm intentional about what I'm listening to, because if I listen to the wrong thing, it steers me in a really bad direction. So yeah, it's been good for me to have that discipline, and something that I've been that I've been doing lately that's been helping is that I've been looking myself in the mirror and promising myself things. So I'll literally look my own self in the eye and I'll speak out loud. It's like, I promise that I'm going to do this, this, and this, or I'm not going to do this. So that when those times come up, it's like, hey, you promised yourself, don't do that. So that's been a really good mental exercise for me to do in this period where I'm like really focused on self-growth and devotion and reading the word and making sure that I'm really nailing down the renewing of my mind and of my thoughts, and that's going to translate into my actions.
So you're doing affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of the book, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill?
Mm-hmm.
You have heard of it?
Yeah.
You got to read it, bro.
Haven't you been trying to get me to read that for like...
I've been trying to get you to read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill for like a year.
Oh, this is the same guy?
This is the same guy, yeah. But this one's more like a textbook philosophy around like auto-suggestion or like auto-self-suggestion, which is affirmations. Mm-hmm. It's like a textbook on it. I'm like halfway through it. You should check it out.
Is it like super, super long?
It's pretty long. I think it's a 24-hour audiobook, bro. It's pretty long, but it's worth it. It's worth it. But the thing about it is like it goes in depth on biblical principles and translates them. It translates biblical principles and aspects into like a how-to guide of like how to set up your day and life for success for the kingdom. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like it. But you should check that out.
Have you been adopting any self-help habits or anything lately to try and help yourself?
No. Well, no. I'm not. No.
I think you should start, buddy.
I just keep it pushing. Just keep moving. Just keep going.
Why haven't you made that time for yourself?
For affirmations?
I mean, not specifically affirmations, but like reading a book, doing a study, meditation, like whatever it might be.
Because I'm not gonna do it. Not that it's not a good idea or anything like that. I just, for me, it's just that just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't really move me. Like I'm kind of become a little bit more self-aware to kind of know what does and doesn't work, and just keeping busy. Just like I said, just keep moving forward. That's kind of what's working for me right now.
Yeah.
So
straight.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that helps with development or just you're just kind of moving?
A little bit of both. Definitely a little bit of both. Because I forget who it was that I was talking to. I told them, I was like, right now, where I am right now, I feel like I've kind of hit a plateau in life. Like, I'm moving, but it ain't like I'm just going.
Yeah.
And I just know like eventually I'm gonna get somewhere, because like little by little I'm noticing things are starting to change. Like just even at work, I'm noticing like, well, I found out, this is just an example, I make more money than I thought I was making. So like I didn't know that my boss was actually watching like the work and stuff that I'm doing. So I ended up getting a raise that I didn't really even know about.
Congrats,
So like,
Bro, that's huge, bro. What? Congratulations.
right. And like one of the problems, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but like I have been looking at other places to work, but just I feel like leaving this job right now would kind of be a bad idea, even though it's kind of not, it's not a, like if you hear what the job is, you kind of be like, ew.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it does what I needed to do for the time being. And I believe in November, that'll be my year at that job, which is another raise. So things are moving. It's slow, but it's just kind of just like, I might just need to slow down on things and just move forward, just walk before I try to do something else.
How's your mental?
Mentally, like I'm fine. Like it's just, like if I had to describe it, it'd just be like, because it's the same thing every day. I don't really do much. There's not much deviation in my day at all. So it's just kind of monotonous, just tedious, the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But mentally, like I'm fine. I'm not like down. I'm not super high either, but I'm just kind of like even, I guess.
Yeah.
I like that answer. High key, like when you asked me to come on, I really didn't want to, which is
I know you didn't.
Not gonna hold you. I really didn't want to come on,
No,
and
I
I was trying to find literally anybody else who loves to talk to come on,
So was I.
and it's not that I didn't want to like come. It's that my head is deep in the weeds of like really deep self-discovery work, challenging my faith, challenging the way that I walk in what I believe is God's purpose for me, challenging the way that I train, challenging the way that I eat, challenging the way that I like relate to the world. So I'm questioning everything, and it's coming from a healthy perspective. It's not like it's not from like the depths of existential crisis. It's from the depths of like, am I actually doing what God has called me to do? And if not, what parts of me need to die in order for that to be in accordance with what God's called me to do? So I was like, okay, knowing that I'm in this headspace, would I be a good guest? So we're going to see. I could say anything because I've been learning a lot about myself, and like that kind of ruthless vulnerability. Like I'm not afraid of anything anymore in the sense of like what I could do. And I feel like in the past, like a lot of the fears that I had were like, fear of failure or like fear of loss or like fear of missed opportunity. So I could really say anything. It's about to get interesting.
What's one of the most important things you learned about yourself recently? Just pick one. Just one thing.
Be more specific. You got to pick an area.
Emotional intelligence.
The most important thing I've learned about my emotional intelligence is that I have room to grow. I thought, so in general, people have always told me that I'm like, mature for my age or whatever, which is good sometimes and bad sometimes. But I learned I actually learned like where my Achilles heel is. And sometimes my emotional intelligence can stop me from being welcoming to people who aren't willing.
So unwelcoming.
Yeah, people who are unwilling to be vulnerable. And because I know the pain that comes from lack of vulnerability, it just presents as anger. And I'm not defensive with people, but like I'll be rigid. And sometimes that can come off as like, oh, she's unforgiving or oh, she's strict. It's like, no, I know what the pain of not being honest with yourself can bring. And I just don't want to see you operate in that space anymore, you know? So I say I can be more welcoming, more gentle with people. And I'm not very good at that.
I'm honestly working the exact same thing. Really embracing biblical masculinity. And one of the biggest things that I've read about is gentleness as a man. I'm not great at that because right now I don't like new people at all.
New people?
New people. Don't like them. Don't.
I get that.
Okay.
For example, when we were at that game night the other night and we found out someone was coming that we didn't know, I was honestly pissed.
I used to be like that.
I was
I'm not
pissed
gonna lie.
the fuck off, and I was going to leave, Eli. I was going to walk out the door because I was like, I'm not about going really outside of my inner circle right now, or the people that have been sticking around for a while. I'm cool with those people. I don't need any more personalities. I don't need any new perspectives. I don't need any new laughs or jokes or none of that. I'm cool. So when I hear some new nigga and
we don't need to get into that.
I'm not going to get into the specifics. And I was just like, why is he coming here? And, he got there. Everything was cool. Everything was fine. We had a good time. But just my attitude before he walked in the door was not very good.
I know exactly how you feel because some of the friends we have now, I felt that way before too.
Okay. Who?
Like, for instance, Greg and DJ. I did not.
Nigga, when Greg walked into our apartment the first time.
Like, no, it wasn't, like, for me, it wasn't even like that for real. So, like, my facial expression that I just made, that is not indicative of how I felt at the time. It was more so when I was told they were coming before I had met them that night.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I was like, bro.
No, because, bro, like, maybe we've always been uninvited. Have we always been uninvited?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Then
both of you.
this
Eli.
I'm not gonna deny it because I know. Sometimes I don't like certain. I
don't like new niggas.
Not even so much new Nick. Like, not even so much new niggas. It's
like,
more so.
I don't
just
like new people.
It's just like
I don't like 'em.
It's just like an energy shift for me. I feel like I can't say what I want to say
Like, nigga, who the fuck are you?
because I don't know.
Get out, bro. That's what I want to say.
No, I feel that. I
Take-
definitely
Bro,
go
go back
that.
to where you came from, bro. I don't know. I
But
don't
no,
like.
like-
I'm really hostile.
Like, you're a colonizer. Get out.
Like, no, honestly, because I come off warm and welcoming.
I do not.
That is, yeah. You come off how I actually feel. You come off, like you mentioned, rigid. I don't think rigid is actually. I think
I
hostile.
don't come off
I think
as
hostile
rigid.
is a better word for me, because in the face, what's good, man? How you doing? Nice to meet you. My name's Byron. Blah 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 blah. On the inside, fuck you. Get out. I don't. Nope. I don't. I'm not inviting. I'm really not inviting.
I think that's
I
okay.
try to hide it.
Yeah,
Sometimes
and
I
then
try to
people
hide
like me, and I'm like, why do you like me, dude? I don't like you, bro. Like, no.
I think it's okay to not be open to meeting new people or welcoming new energies into your space seasonally. I think it's okay, like, seasonally. Like, I think there's a time for everything. And I think there's a time where, like, you don't need to be meeting new people. You don't need to invite new people to the circle.
Yeah.
You don't need new friends. And I was actually just talking with Mom about this. I can be pretty retroactive with relationship boundaries, like for all types of relationships, like platonic, business, romantic. My boundaries tend to be retroactive because, like, I trust people until they give me a reason not to.
No.
Yeah, so that's another emotional intelligence thing. But yeah, so since I used to be retroactive with my boundaries, I'd be like, oh, like, I'm just welcoming everybody in. You cannot do that. And I'm not saying, like, invite everybody to your home, but, like, even inviting people, like, just into your physical space, like, hey, like, you can't be around. You're not welcome. You are not welcome. You can't do that. And I have to be more intentional about it, especially with my role in my job. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not ugly. So
Wait, what do you mean if I notice? You looked at me.
I looked at both of you. It's,
What?
it's
Because
a-
I'm supposed to think
this is
otherwise or
it's
something?
a public service announcement. It's a public service announcement. I am not ugly.
You trying to
Okay?
flex on something?
And I'll leave
Guy,
it there.
please come back.
I'll leave it there.
Guy,
I'll leave it there.
Come back.
I'll leave it there. And so it can be difficult to discern what different men are asking me for when they want to initiate a relationship. And right now I'm not available to like romantic connections at all. So with that being said, like I'm not putting that energy out there. I'm putting out like a welcoming, friendly, like brother in Christ, there's space for Jesus type of space.
Shake my hand talking about brother in Christ.
Like, how you doing, brother? Like
girl, I'm trying to get your number. Like,
like
I'm not.
you may not. And so like even with that too, like with like I'm strictly talking about business relationships now here. I lead from that standpoint of like, oh, how would you like to stay connected? I can give you my email. And I leave it there.
Yeah.
I don't even put my phone number on the table, right? Because you will text me. And you will think that because I gave you intimate access, like my phone number, that you can just be like, hey, yo, like, you know, I really enjoyed talking to you at the house. I'm not available.
Okay, okay. No, okay, two things. Number one, back to your point about trusting until you give a reason not to. Are you still that way, or is that how you used to be?
No.
Okay, good. Secondly, this is the only time I'm going to ask this kind of question on this podcast because I'm curious. As a female, navigating even in business, casual, social, you know, whatever environment it is, how much awareness do you bring into either meeting new people or maintaining a relationship with, I'll just say like a male or maybe someone that is attracted to you in that sort of way? How much awareness do you bring into how you interact with that person based off the possibility that they might have other intentions?
Okay. That was a loaded question. So I'm going to start with the part that I remember first. And the part is like as a female. So I can speak to my experience specifically, but every woman is different. But coming from me, I'm highly intentional. I didn't used to be highly intentional. I feel like it was just my character in general to be intentional and take initiative to connect with people in general. But now I'm hyper intentional. Like I decide before I walk into a space, okay, I'm going to this event, to this engagement, to this meeting, and this is what I want to get out of it. These are the connections that I'm solving for, and this is what I don't want, right? Because when you're in that room, there are people that are looking for like-minded individuals to connect on a romantic level. And some people are looking for business deals, some people are looking for connections, some people just show up they just show up uninvited, unintentional. So I have to be hyper intentional about it. I think that was the first part of your question. And I think you were kind of asking like, what do I do as far as like maintaining a male relationship?
I mean, sort of, kind of, but you already spoke to the business part of it. But like from a casual standpoint, like if you go to a friend gathering, right,
Okay.
and you go with the same intentions, like nothing romantic, but you meet somebody new, they're cool, you like talking to them, but don't want anything romantic, but you kind of begin to feel that energy from that person. Like, how do you start to navigate that relationship?
For me personally, being as clear, transparent, kind, and firm as possible up front in the moment. Like you have to confront that energy. Otherwise, if you don't confront it, you're welcoming people to keep engaging in that way. Like if somebody is like, hey, like I think you're cute, and I say, oh, thank you. Like, you know, I bat my eyes or whatever and walk away. That's still an open door. And like, even though that seems like super simple, you have to be like, oh, like, thank you. Like you have to watch your tone. Like as a woman, I have to watch my tone and be very intentional about how I'm communicating because they're listening for a green flag.
Yep.
And if you give them any other color besides red, they're gonna be like, that is green.
This is true.
That is green. It is green. It is not red. That means go. Any color of the rainbow means go if it's not red. So it's like I'm not seeing red. That means I'm gonna go. And you don't even have to be rude about it. And I think I hear a lot of my like woman friends like they're like, oh, like how do I let this guy down gently? Because like they waited too long. They waited like 2 weeks after they've been like texting casually. It's like, okay, well now you've welcomed that level of interaction because you didn't from the beginning be like, hey, like cool, and then walk away. Or be intentional in your tone too. So like this has happened to me before, like where I'm at a friend gathering and it's like people that I've known for years and I'm comfortable with. So like I show up with that intention of I'm gonna be with people that know me, so I don't have to like, I don't know, put on a front or whatever.
Yeah.
I typically don't, but like I showed up to this one friend gathering, bro, and there were 2 people there, and I was in a onesie, and I was like, so I was like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. So I was like, let me be nice and welcoming. He's like, oh, hi. And I was like, hello. And like I intentionally like lowered my tone of voice. Like, I'm not interested in connecting. I'm here for other recreational purposes. And I'm not here to connect. I'm not here to make new friends. Don't ask me what's in Indy. Cause like that, it'll start with like, oh, hey. Oh, like, oh, I like your outfit. Like they'll say something like about like my appearance. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. But if they keep going with like, oh, like, are you from here? Like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm from here. Like,
You gotta stop him. Are you from here? Nope.
So are you from here? It's like, yes. So I'm intentional about sometimes, it just depends on how I'm feeling. So like this specific instance I'm referencing, like, I like was not with it. Like to be like quite transparent with you, like I was coming out of like a depressed state, and I just wanted to be around people that like me, and I didn't get dressed up. Like I was definitely not at my highest functioning level of like confidence. So I was just like there. I'm just here to exist. I'm here for recreational purposes. I'm here for recreational purposes. I'm not here to connect. So yeah, as a woman, you have to be hyper intentional, because if you're not, you're letting the other person lead.
Yep.
And if you let them drive, they're going to floor the pedal. Like, they're going to floor the pedal. And like, and if you don't get out of the car, they're gonna assume you're in the car. It's like, oh, like you're talking to me, so like, I'm gonna keep going until you shut it down. And there's a way to do that. There's a way to do that up front. So like with this one guy that I'm specifically referencing, anyways,
We're about to go on a tangent.
Oh yeah.
Bear with us.
Strap in.
I'm coming back. Okay, hold on. Let me get that point
Passengers, please fasten your seatbelts. We're about to hit some turbulence.
Oh. Let me finish. Okay. I'm okay. I'll start with a time where I did it really well, and then a time where I did it really terribly. So in this same instance where I showed up in the onesie, and like I said, I'm not ugly. I'm cute in anything, no matter what, bro. So like I pulled up.
We heard you.
I just gotta let you know. So I pulled up. He starts a conversation, and he starts to ask more like qualifying questions, like, "Oh, where are you from? What do you do for work? Oh, who do you know here?" It's like, so it's like basic questions. So I was like, okay, like this is okay so far. And then I was like, when I flashed the red card, he was like, "Who are you here with?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not here with anyone." He's like, "Oh, where's your man at?" He's like, "Oh, I don't have one." He's like, "Oh, for real?" I was like,
You should have walked away off for real.
Here's what I said, and I was like, "I'm not looking for one either." He was like, "Oh, for real?" And I was like,
Oh, for real?
and I was like, yes, for real.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was like, and then sometimes
I've never
too,
gotten that before.
What?
Just
I'm
like-
not looking for one?
Yeah, that's blunt.
You have to be clear.
I would much rather hear that.
I know.
than
Thank
anything
you.
else.
Thank you.
I know, but it's like, damn.
And that's the thing.
I get it, but it's
better
like,
that.
that lets me know. Dead stop.
Yes,
Change
I
mission.
agree.
Dead
U-turn.
stop.
I agree,
Dead
but it's like,
mission.
damn. Like, bro,
Dead
you at a
mission.
party, and your nigga come back talking about, she said she ain't looking for a man.
But that's not.
It's like,
but that's not. I don't take that personal. That's not an indictment on me. She got some shit going on.
Yeah, it's not about you. And that's the thing. When you're early on, there's less mud in the water for it to be about you. It's just like, no. This is about me, and here's what I'm saying.
That's a good point.
I'm drawing the line. You have to draw a line immediately, otherwise it's open field. It's
Open season.
Right.
It's open season.
Yep.
So I have to be hyper intentional. So I do the line, and then he kept going. So he was like, "Okay, you're not looking for a man. How long you in town?" I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Yeah, that's
So
where.
see, yeah, that. That's a hard cut.
And so I looked him dead in his eye before I partook in activities, and I said, "I'm here to chill with my girlfriends. I hope you have a good night, sir." And then I walked away. And he left me alone.
Great execution.
Yeah, you gotta, and it's all about the execution. And you can
Take
do
notes.
that. You can let people down gently without being a butt cheek about it, without, arguing or calling them ugly. Like, and this man was not ugly. So it's like if you're not available to that, if it's not a full body yes, say no.
Yeah.
Say no. If there's even like you looking kind of no, nope, because that's gonna come up in 2 weeks when you finally remember your intuition and then you're like, actually, I don't want this, and then you're gonna hurt the man's feelings. Now, granted, do I care about feelings typically? No, but I do care about stewardship of relationships. And if you're not feeling me from the beginning, don't lie about it. Don't lie about it, because then we both gonna get hurt, and then you gonna start. No.
Applause.
Thank you.
Applause for that. So that concludes our mental health check segment. What I wanted to bring up is what we talked about earlier. And can you tell the story of the guy that you met at the event that got left at the altar?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Yes.
He got left at the altar.
At the
Eli.
altar.
At the altar.
Oh.
So first tell the story.
Okay.
And then I got some things to say.
That's crazy.
So this specific instance took place at a angel investing happy hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
The context of angel investing is very important because people who are angel investors are breaded. Okay? They're breaded. Why are you laughing already?
Nah, this nigga. I didn't know it's possible to drink loud with a straw. Goddamn.
Now that was his throat.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
It's just in my
You're
ear.
never coming back. I didn't know it was that loud.
I was like,
But you just
I was like, what the fuck is in my
you
ear?
gave me the meanest bombastic side eye ever. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll start over. So cut all of that out.
No, I'm keeping that. It's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
So people are breaded. Like the happy hour is over, so people are buying their own drinks now. So they're getting like hard
Classic.
stuff, and people are opening up. And mind you, I go to these events sober. I don't drink at work events, so I'm there. I'm sharp as a tack and listening to everything. And this one dude from a state that I can't remember, he pulls up to the conversation and he's like, "Hey, dude, like, how you doing? I see you're beating some girls." And he was talking about like myself and another lady that was at the table. And the homegirl looked at me and she was like, "What is he talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah, like it's been hard for me to just meet people in general, dude. Like, don't make a big deal out of it." And he was like, "Well," he's like, "No, like," so back to person one.
Fred was ratting him out.
He was like, no, this is the big deal, dude. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, wait a minute, I need context. So I was like, story time. He happily opens up. He was like, yeah, I was left at the altar 4 months ago.
Like, I might have ended it all. Like, what is there left in life? Like, I'm sorry, but you left. Like, I've got my family here, your family here. We went through all this
Eli,
planning.
you would have to strap me down for a good couple days.
Like, we went through all this planning. We put all this money up. I'm emotionally invested
And
into
you
you
waited until the day,
in front of all these people.
in front of my homies, in front of my mom, in front of my cousins. Like, bro, because you made some okay
Murder,
points.
She Wrote, because
You made some okay points earlier because you were like, they were an Indian family, so maybe it was arranged, blah, 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 whatever. If you decide to run away, don't wait on the day that it's supposed to happen to take off.
You are judging. You have no idea,
Karen.
what the hold on. You have no idea what the context is. You don't know what the context is. So in my head, as he was saying this, I was like, okay, if you were left at the altar, that means she waited until the very last minute to run.
Yep.
So I'm thinking like, what about you made her want to wait so long and then just cut and run? Like,
But how is that about him though?
Right.
it's not about him. I'm just.
But you said what about you?
Because
as in him?
That's just what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Because like he kept talking, and I kind of zoned out for a second, and I was like, at the altar.
At the altar.
And so I stopped the whole conversation. I was like, I have clarifying questions. So by at the altar, do you mean you were standing there
Boy.
and she was supposed to walk down and she just didn't come?
If my bride even take too long, I'm gonna get mad.
Keep going.
Because I was like, there's no way he means like at the altar. Because I'm envisioning this wedding, and I was like, okay, like did she just like not show up to the wedding period, or like she just didn't come down the altar? He's like, no, everybody was lined up. We were lined up. Rings were there.
Oh.
And she just didn't walk out.
Oh. She just didn't walk out?
Boy.
She just didn't walk out.
See, I'm going to say that was better than what was in my head. Because in my head...
How does it get worse?
How does it get worse? How does it get worse? Let's say she did walk out. Let's say she walked all the way up there. You're face to face with this girl. You're supposed to be giving your vows. And she just says no and walks back.
She ain't walking back.
What you mean?
She's dead. You're dead. Fuck you mean no?
We already...
You said yes when I got on a knee. Why is it a no now?
Look, we already in front of God. You finna stay with him.
You're dead. You're gonna walk. First of all, if it's not me, it's you. Or it's my mom talking about you gotta... The money's been spent, Eli. The check has been wrote.
Literally.
The DJ, and I got doggone Brother Hubbard standing next to me. Brother Hubbard is about to, because it's gonna be my minister. My minister who's watched me growing up is gonna be like, oh my God. He gonna watch me murder somebody.
Bitch. Like, at the altar?
I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life.
It's up for you and everybody sitting on your side of the church.
And it's like, here's the thing. Like, say for example.
They knew.
They
knew. Them bastards knew.
They knew what?
They knew she wasn't going through with it.
How you know?
Her family? I'm talking to the people on her side. Oh, they knew.
How you know?
Somebody in that bitch knew.
Okay.
Him, one of her bridesmaids.
Where the bridesmaids at? I got questions.
People knew.
So did the bridesmaids help her escape? Help her get ready and they walked out?
I didn't ask any more questions after
You got his number? Oh my God, you got his number.
Oh yeah, that church bell gonna ring that day.
With her head. Ding.
Yeah, yes, I do have his number. I do have his number.
We need to. Maybe something.
Finish the story. We yeah, that's bullshit.
I didn't ask any more questions after that because like brother started to like get teary eyed and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. And he was.
I literally wouldn't leave bed.
He really fucked with her. Like he was about her.
Yes, bro. Left at the altar.
See, I don't think that was an arranged marriage.
And see, I think he was more in the conversation. It seemed like he was more upset about getting left than he was about her. Because then we literally translated into dating apps and somebody used the word daps. And I was like, what is that? Daps. He was like, yeah. He was like, oh yeah. Like, are you on the daps? And I was like, what is that?
That's such a white man thing to say.
Hold up. Trust me.
He's
hurt, but he definitely ain't healed from that shit.
No.
Definitely not.
It was 4 months.
He's definitely using
4 months?
Tinder
That's soon.
to sleep with as many women as possible to try and get his confidence back.
That's not healthy.
It's not healthy, but who's not gonna do it?
I probably wouldn't do that.
Oh, see, better than me. Better than me.
What? Because here's the thing: if I do it,
I'm
gonna start kissing some girl and start crying. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it out with some random woman, and I'm just gonna start sobbing.
Nah.
Yeah.
See, because
I wouldn't be able to do it.
The issue with me is I'm gonna be intoxicated during the entire thing, so it's a lot of bad gonna come out of that.
Yeah.
Gonna get emotional.
Yep.
Probably not gonna be crying or anything, but like some anger.
Oh, for sure.
Intoxicated. So if we are doing the act. I probably didn't put a condom on because I'm already intoxicated, and then
Oh, this is getting worse.
it's gonna see, that's why it gets worse. In my case, it would get worse
Please do not leave my man at the altar. Don't do it.
because 2 weeks after that interaction, I'm pregnant. Then it's up.
He said,
It's up. Like it's gonna go from bad. For me, it would go from bad
to worse.
bad to real bad to even worse. Like it only goes down from there
Yeah.
for a very long time.
I just don't know how you recover from that.
Jesus heals.
I,
Jesus heals.
Listen, that man gonna
Jesus can just take me now.
bro. He will not have enough-
just take me now, dog. I'm
listen,
okay.
That man's not standing on another altar. I can guarantee you that.
Oh my goodness.
Shit. After that, he gonna walk out to her. You gotta wait on me. What? You gotta propose. You stand at the altar, and then they play "Here Comes That Nigga" on the piano.
Oh my God.
And then I walk out, and then you put the ring on my finger. That's how that's gonna work after that experience.
That man is traumatized.
Oh, for sure. What? Traumatized might not be the right word.
What's worse than traumatized?
Like what do they do to cows? They do that iron.
Castrated?
What? No. What?
You
They
said
took the hot
What
iron.
do
The
you-
hot iron.
branding?
Yeah, this nigga's branded.
I think traumatized is worse than branded. Trauma is kind of a brand. You are permanently like marked by whatever.
Okay,
happened.
hold on. Trauma is an injury. Okay, it's an injury.
Is getting burnt with a hot cast iron not an injury?
Is that shit coming off?
No, but does trauma ever go away? Yeah. I mean, you can deal with it better, but does it go away?
Yes, it does.
Do you just like forget about it?
I mean, but okay, so when you're traumatized, right? When you are actively traumatized, it's something that affects you constantly. But with therapy and Jesus, of course, I feel like you can be untraumatized.
Eventually, that burn is going to stop burning.
Like for example,
you get scars.
Yeah.
Scars don't necessarily go away.
No, they don't. I think they're just equal words.
I think they're two separate things that you guys are trying to make one. So let's just agree that my man's was traumatized.
Very much. But on that same topic, I remember we were watching, I think it was Spider-Man 2.
Yes, she left him at the altar at the end of the movie.
Oh my God.
And she was happy as hell running out that damn
She
church.
sprinted.
She ran
She sprinted.
to another man's dusty
Apartment.
New York
Listen.
apartment.
Do you know how many? I don't think 0 fucks is enough you gotta give to run back to that nigga with a big ass smile on your face.
I didn't like that.
Everybody in the church.
Bro, I'm telling you,
No.
if your girl gets saved by Spider-Man, break up with her. She's not going to be the same.
You know what's crazy though?
It's not going to be the same after that.
Just for her to be singing in Spider-Man 3, I'm through with love and I'll never fall again. She left a nigga at the altar.
Marvel
In the
in
previous
general.
movie.
They be playing with my man, like, they be just playing with niggas, bro. They be playing with niggas much. Okay, listen. PSA, men are emotional as fuck. As fuck. If you, like, that experience, and I think from a societal standpoint, we're much more okay with handing those experiences to men, but it affects them all the same. Does that make sense? Like, for example, me and mom were watching The Meg last night, and there's this female character who is, for all intents and purposes, a pussy, is what you would call, like, yes. If it was a man, that's what you call him.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's running from everything, literally, like, leaving everybody. Like, there was a time where they had to wait on somebody to come back, and the ship is flooding, and she's like, shut the door, we don't have time, leave him. And then, of course, he makes it. But, like, if that was a dude, you'd be like, that guy's a bitch.
Is that the first one
claiming
or the
second one?
Okay, I haven't seen the second one. That's why I'm confused. I'm like, I don't recall a female character.
Yeah, but, like, my point being is that, like, they're just so much more okay with handing those harsher experiences to men, because at the end of the day, we don't care. Like, and for all intents and purposes, we don't care. Because personally, I thought it was hilarious. that the man got lifted off. Is it fucked up? Absolutely. But it's like, and I'm not claiming that I am not a victim to this same, I won't even call it brainwashing. I'll call it like conditioning, to where we're just kind of okay with handing them those experiences because I didn't care. But how do you balance that? How do you because there is a sense of composure as a man you have to have, because I will say this, that it is worse in different ways for men and women to be super emotional. For men, it definitely leans more in the violent direction for you to be more emotional, that if you're on the worst side of being emotional, you will be more violent. At least in my opinion.
I think that's also a result of conditioning too. Like violence isn't automatic. Like you see it from somewhere, and that inspiration with that emotional like lens then translates into violence as like the final product. But your question was like, what was the question? Like how do you balance that as a man or in general?
Like balance your emotion?
Balance vulnerability, but also composure. And this is how, like, I'll honestly say like 80% of men lean in the direction of just being emotionless and not caring and not really letting anything affect them.
I would say, yeah, that's kind of where I go to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Cause it's just like, because people can really, like, for me, people can really say whatever. Like, people can say words don't hurt me. It's because I don't care what you. My go-to is to just, okay.
Yeah.
Be as nonchalant. Like, I try to stay in a realm of, which is a bad thing. I try to stay in a realm of nonchalantness, because if I don't, and I get to going in here, I'm gonna be a mess.
Yeah. So then, okay, so you remain nonchalant to avoid caring. What would happen?
Not necessarily to avoid. It's not to avoid caring. It's like I care, but it's just like remaining or attempting to remain nonchalant is my way of control. Like, kind of. It's just I just don't want to dwell on it for too much or too long, or sometimes even at all. And so yeah, it's not entirely to not care. Like, because even with being nonchalant, I still care. It's just, it just kind of, it just kind of helps. I feel like it helps me stay in check. Kind of like I don't get too high, too low, but I guess to go back when it does, like if it were to get, I haven't been there in a long time. So speaking like like back then, it was definitely hard. Like I don't even know how to describe it. When I was like too emotional, like I would go out of my way to kind of do things to not feel that pain, to not. I don't really know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it because it's really just a lot. If I cannot control it, then I don't really know. It just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it makes me feel worse than I did when the things actually happened. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I 100% understand what you mean. And I think what is key to understand about that is there isn't a point of like you have to control your emotions. I think there's a point of fully understanding them. Right. Because I think what you're talking about, which is what everybody does at some point, not just men, is they begin to dwell in their emotions. Not necessarily like you're supposed to listen to them and understand them, but if you dwell in them, you'll just move in whatever direction they go.
Right.
A book I read recently earlier this year, Be Water, My Friend. It had a whole chapter on emotions, and the way the writer described it is, say you're just standing minding your own business, and someone's just poking you like on the back. It's like, hey, I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me. And you turn around, and it's your emotions, whatever you're feeling, anger, sadness, depression, frustration, anxiety, whatever it is. It'll say, okay, hey, what's going on? What is it? Whatever you're feeling, right? Like you listen to it, you understand. And that's been something that I've been focusing on because like I'm an emotional person, and I've struggled with just being nonchalant, and I've struggled with just choosing not to feel anything. But I understand that on the long term, that's not going to get me where I need to be, and it's not going to make me the man that I want to be personally. So, and it's hard to choose to listen to your emotions because it does take time to pick it apart. So, okay, why do I feel this way? What am I thinking about? Is, first of all, I was thinking about this thing going to help me? Because like you said, you can feel worse than when the actual event happened. And now you're just thinking about it. And then you add all these scenarios. But what if this? But what if that? But what if I had done this? But what if this actually happened and this person didn't tell me the truth? And what if this actually happened? Like you're just making yourself feel worse, right? because you're dwelling in your emotions and you're letting your mind, like your mind will take a seed and it'll take a thought and it'll run with it if you let it do that. But it's who's running with that seed is who you need to pay attention to. Like, is it your logic and is it your discernment? Like, for me and you, is it the Holy Spirit that's helping you discern through your emotions and sift through what's happening? Or is it you just letting your emotions take that thing and go where it's never in a good direction? It never goes in the direction that is going to bring you ultimate benefit.
Right.
So what I've been focused on recently is, okay, I feel this way, and that's okay. First of all, I think that's something that we all need to understand. Feeling this way, there's nothing wrong with feeling.
Right.
But it's like, okay, why do I feel this way? It's like, because this happened. Okay, I get that this happened, but why did it affect you like that? And then oftentimes you might find yourself tracing back to your childhood. You know what I mean?
Whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole, and you do have to go all the way back, because if you don't, you're just gonna have a feeling that you're just never gonna understand.
Right.
But you're always gonna feel so fresh about it. Because, bro, there's so many things that even as a child, you can go back, and if you start to replay it in your head, like you said, you're going to get more angry about it now than you were when it actually happened. And I think it's important, especially, I won't even say especially, man, just like as people, that we understand that emotions, yes, there's nothing wrong with feeling them. That's not the problem. It's how you choose to sort through them and not letting your emotions run with the seed, run with the thoughts, because they're always going to go in the wrong direction. They're never going to go in the right direction. But deliberately and intentionally sorting through them to bring yourself peace about whatever happened.
Right. See, I had to learn how to talk because I wouldn't talk, like, because growing up on my mom's side of the family, being around them a lot of stuff, they were always, especially the men, there was always, you got to be tough, you got to, being overly emotional was just kind of that just kind of wasn't it, for real.
Yeah.
So also dealing with the things from experiences with my mom and stuff, I was very, very emotionally, like, I would go with. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't
handicapped, like emotionally handicapped.
I don't know if I want to say handicapped, but I know I was not emotionally mature. Like I lacked development in the emotional standpoint. So when I felt things, it was always kind of magnified. And for me, those emotions kind of led me in a negative direction. I used to be very vindictive, bitter. Like, whatever somebody did to me, I wanted to make that person feel probably 10 times more. Like, that's where I was. People would always tell me, you got to use your words. You got to just talk. I didn't know how to talk, because how can I explain something to you if I don't understand what's going on in my own head?
Yeah.
So that being angry and shit all the time, I just got better at doing that stuff just now. I want to say once I moved in with you guys to Vine Street is when those things have started actually getting better, because I'm lost now.
Vine Street, what a time.
Vine Street, bro.
Oh yeah,
Vine Street was time. But no, I understand what you mean. And I think that's what you mentioned when you said I had to learn how to talk. I think that's just what therapists are for, because people don't know how to talk to themselves or just even talk to sort through the emotions.
I will say this: I did talk to myself a lot.
Really?
Talking to myself did not help.
Really?
It didn't help because because it was like everything that I was saying to myself in my head, in a way, made sense to me in the situation.
Yeah.
Like, why? Okay, it's like, why did such and such happen? Well, then I go through it in my head. This, that, and the third. And it's like, well, no shit, it happened like that.
Yeah.
What did you do wrong, or what went wrong? Where did it go wrong? I can't see where it went wrong. Talking to myself.
Interesting.
So I had to let it out, because my thing is I just hold it in and I try to deal with it myself. I will fix this myself, and that got me nowhere. Nowhere. Like I've almost written off so many relationships with people because of that. So I mean, yeah, like I had to learn how to talk to somebody else. I had to learn how to essentially just get it out.
Yeah.
Because I definitely would not be here right now if I didn't.
Okay. A lot has been said. There were a couple things I wanted to go back to. So how I'm understanding emotions is just energy and motion. Emotions are just energy and motion. That's all they are. And I think it can get sticky when you try to discern meaning from them, because they're literally just energy and motion. That's literally all they are. And from a biblical standpoint, we see emotions used to explain the emphasis or understand the context of like how bad or how great something really was. And sometimes like you won't even see like the emotion anger. You'll see like Job, like he tore his hair and he ripped his clothes. We can assume that's anger, depression, all those things, right? But energy and motion cannot be a proper advisor. It can be an advisor to a standpoint, but it shouldn't get any like voting power in your decision making. So that's what I was thinking about when you said energy from the first point you made. Eli, you said something really good about like how like talking to yourself, that was not a good solution for you. And that makes sense, because that's a closed feedback loop.
Yep.
Like there's nobody, it's only you in the room. So of course you're going to say, oh yeah, you're right. Or you're going to say, actually, no, you're wrong. Like you're a piece of crap. Like why would you say that? Like you're only talking to what exists inside of you. You do have to get outside of yourself. And that's where humility comes in. Humility, and so talking about balance too, like your original question was, how do you maintain balance of that? I feel like vulnerability is a state that you achieve through humility and a combination of other principles. And humility is just an honest view of yourself and learning to be content with where you're at. You don't have to be happy with where you're at. You don't have to be angry with where you're at. And I had to learn about that too. Like for me, like even though my emotional intelligence is high in terms of like how I interact with people, how I can discern if someone is projecting their trauma onto me and set boundaries retroactively, now proactively.
Do you mind if I hop in real quick?
Go for it.
So,
that's my point. It just dropped off.
No, you. I think you made a point that I would actually like to discuss further.
Sure.
You mentioned that your emotions shouldn't necessarily get a vote in your decision making. I'm not sure if I 100% agree. I agree partially, yes, because like if you're angry, if you let anger take the wheel, bad things are gonna happen. But it's like, okay, when you're making a decision, like say a relationship, okay, it's like, okay, this person treats me this way and it makes me feel like shit. When you say they don't get a vote in your decision making, do you mean like those times too, where it's like, okay, you're in a relationship with someone, whether it's romantic or it's a friendship or it's a mentorship, whatever it is, right? And someone, maybe they're giving some moderate benefit to your life, right? But they don't treat you very well and it makes you feel a certain way. Do you think those times are good to take your emotions into consideration because of how someone makes you feel? Or do you result to pure logic and facts on that one?
So yeah, let's zoom out for a second, because that's a good question. So I live my life according to what Jesus told me to do. And Jesus said, don't trust your emotions, trust me. So when I see that, I think, okay, I should listen to how I feel, but I shouldn't let it drive,
I agree.
because all of your thoughts are not your own.
Mm-hmm.
They could be coming from literally any other spirit, any other entity that you don't have the ability or the discernment to recognize yet. So listening to your emotions is 100% important. Yeah, I think I should go back. I don't think you should be emotionless. I think you should treat your emotions as an advisor, but put like an asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be some times like where it's not going to, there's been so many tough decisions I've had to make recently that I don't feel any happiness, anger, excitement, fear about it. It'll just have to be based on faith. And faith doesn't always come with an emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith is not a feeling.
It's not a feeling. It's a belief. It's a conviction.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pull, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to say as far as like emotions. Like, you should definitely understand how you feel. I think there's a lot of value in being able to say, you know what, I don't know what this feeling is, but like, I don't feel very good after the way, like, what you just said to me, and I think that's when you can be like, okay, what do I do with this feeling? Like, do I hold it? Do I rack it up? Because some people will just like let it stack up.
Yep.
And then they'll blow up. And then that person didn't actually do anything in that moment to piss you off. But because you never said anything, that avalanche is coming out because you never properly communicated in the meantime. So like, there was one of my longer relationships that I was in with a partner of mine. He was really good at like in the moment saying like I see what you're trying to say to me, but like, would you mind like thinking about your tone a little bit? And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I felt a little attacked, like when you said that to me. And it was like, I can't tell if I'm angry or not, but like I did feel kind of attacked. And I was like, you know what? I am coming from a meeting where I was like doing a lot of judicial financial stuff and I was pissed off about it. And I brought that emotion into our conversation. So I can see how you can feel attacked, and I'm sorry for that. So he properly communicated it in the moment. Mm-hmm. And there were also times like where he couldn't clarify what feeling it was, but he made a commitment to like, you know what, when I figure it out and I'm comfortable communicating it with you, I promise to come back and hold the space for us to talk about this transparently. Mm-hmm. Cause like you don't always have to do it in the moment. Like, and that's where humility comes in. Like, you have an honest view of self. It's like, you know what, if I try to communicate with you right now, there are gonna be some words that come out that I probably shouldn't be saying to you, and they're not gonna reflect my relationship with Jesus. I'd have to ask Jesus to turn a blind eye so I can cuss you out, because you got the wrong one right now. But there's nothing wrong with taking the time to maybe ask that feeling where it came from.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea where some things sometimes can come from. Like, I've been journaling for a long time. Eli, I don't think you knew this. I've been journaling since I was 9. So like I can go back to like when I was like 9 and like see what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's really funny because it's just like, you were only talking to yourself. So like I was making all these judgments and these understandings based on what I thought about it. And as I continued to like, go through trauma and have that close feedback loop, I would prove myself right about why things were happening. And my why was incredibly far from what God has called me towards, as far as like gentleness, love, forgiveness, healing. And so when you fail to bring other people that are better than you to the table, having that close feedback loop can actually cause more damage to yourself than like was already done to you. So this is a great topic.
It was a great topic. Yeah. What are we talking about?
There was, Eli, you said something else I wanted to bring back up.
About?
Where you left off was you kind of hit a stump to where I remember you were talking about your family, and you said the men in your family are like real focused on like being tough and
really not just the men, it's the women too.
Yeah,
because like they are tougher. I wouldn't say like you can't be emotional, but when I was growing up, it was always, not always, but it was suck it up, stop crying, just you're a boy, you're not supposed to, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't remember where I was going with that or where I left off with that, but I was saying that contributed to me holding a lot of things in, why I was not able to get certain feelings or emotions out, because I thought I had to like keep it within and just like, figure it out and deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can resonate with that. And to be honest, even now, I'm not. I think I'm a little, not a little, very much like emotionally damaged in terms of I've questioned how I've reacted to certain things and have wondered like, is there something wrong with me? And I'm not sure where it comes from or why I am that way. But like, for example, when we lost grandma and grandpa, like I didn't shed a tear. And like, you know me, like we loved grandma, all of our grandparents, but I don't know, like it felt delayed for me. It felt like it didn't hit me immediately. And even recently, with an event that transpired, like it didn't, when I heard what happened, it didn't hit me immediately. It hit me later. And maybe I have an issue like accepting things that happen like in the moment or in that instant. But I was never in denial about anything. So I guess I'm questioning for myself. I'm not asking you guys anything, but I can just resonate with not feeling like you experience things right. Like when something happens and it's like, okay, it's almost as if I decide how I feel about it. It's almost as if, okay, am I supposed to be hurt by this or am I supposed to be upset? And then there's other times like real little shit that happens and I'll get pissed off immediately and there's no decision. It's just pissed or upset. So it's like okay, yeah, like you said, it's like wow, this is terrible, sadness. But it's like delayed. It's weird.
I felt that when my grandmother died. Like it didn't hit me right away.
Grief is a very complex feeling, and it arrives in stages. Because when someone dies, and depending on like what your relationship was with them, they may be gone, but the love that they sowed into you while they were here is still alive and well. And I felt the same way too. And like I had a very different role when it came to like, you know, the funeral service. Like I wrote all the obituaries for like all four of our grandparents. And it was odd for me because I was like, am I sad? Like I wasn't sad. It was so weird for me.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty in tune with my emotions. Like I was asking myself these questions. I was like, I wasn't asking myself what's wrong with me. I just asked God for the grace to accept this feeling if it hits me like a bomb. So grief on top of other things, loss in general, those are very unique life experiences that happen in stages. In general, I think that it's okay for things to hit you slowly. I don't think there's anything wrong with you for your sadness being delayed or, you know, you not feeling anything in that moment because it's shocking news. Like sometimes it's just shock. Like it's just like, wait, because I understand like the news that we got last week. It's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, and just trying to hold the space for that feeling to come out. Feelings aren't always immediate. And then grief especially it comes in stages and it comes in waves too. And I think just the point of life that you're in right now, because like that was a very high stress time for us, like around the loss of each of our grandparents, because it was Grandma
George.
Yeah, Grandma George was
Then
passing.
Then Grandpa Hubbard literally the same week.
Yeah, in the same week. Yeah, that's shocking. That's shocking, and that doesn't make any sense. Things that don't make sense and that are shocking, it's hard for our human minds to wrap. It's hard for a human mind to wrap itself around that coincidence. So I don't think you should judge yourself for, you know, time past. I think you should give yourself grace and be like, you know what, I'm going to hold the space, and whenever I need it, I'm going to come to it. Yeah. You don't have to feel things immediately. You don't. And I think I had a delayed reaction to, honestly, the death of a relationship. And I was just like, why am I not sad? Like, I feel confident in my decision. I feel confident in, you know, how I grew as a person and like what I added to the relationship. I've done I've done like, you know, all the check boxes, right? And I think I was trying to systematize grieving the loss of a relationship. and you can't do that.
Yeah, I think that's where my personal delay comes from. Say, okay, this happened, and then you try to make sense of it. Like you try to logic your way through it, and then I think the logic for me is just like a wall, like a dam, and then the dam just breaks at some point.
That's
like,
terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Like, and the dam breaking is my logic just kind of giving in to like, okay, like this is a lot, dude. Like this is heavy. Like whatever it is, like it's anger, it's frustration, it's grief, it's loss. Like grief, they made that word because there was no one emotion to describe it.
Yeah.
Grief is a multitude of things, whether, like you mentioned, it's the death of a loved one, it's the death of a relationship, it's the death of a friendship. It is a multitude of emotions hitting you like a brick wall. Like that's like, you're not running to the brick wall. The brick wall is coming to you and it's hitting you. That's for me, that's been my experience with grief. It's anger, it's confusion, it's sadness, it's frustration, all at the same time, and you can't sort through it.
Yeah, I think something that was odd for me when I was writing the obituaries was Mom was really intentional about me saying, like, we're coming together in celebration of the homegoing. And I was like, this isn't a celebration. Like, this isn't a party. There is a dead body at the front of this church. How do you expect me to party about this? And I grew to understand, like, after I continued to go to more funerals, that it's a celebration because that's the whole point of living. It's to finish and to go into God's bosom. Like, that's exciting when you're a Christian. So like that celebration point started to hit me kind of around Grandma Hubbard's death, where we were talking about her heritage of heart work. And I was like, I am putting that in my mission statement. And I felt gratitude that she was no longer suffering. And that came with a little bit of guilt too, because I was like, am I happy? I was like, am I saying that I'm happy that she's gone? I'm like, no.
It's not good riddance.
It's not good riddance. It's like, rest well. And there's a lot of peace and releasing that comes with viewing it from that framework. But yeah, grief in general is very interesting, especially when like it's the loss of a relationship and that person's still alive, but they feel dead to you. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, you're not dead, but you're dead to me. And yeah, there's a
Breaking up with people is not fun.
Are we gonna go there? Are we going there?
We can go there. I don't have anything to say about that.
I mean, you can ask the questions.
I don't really have a question about it either. It just kind of is what it is to me.
We don't got to talk about it.
No, listen. I kind of want you to talk about it, but it's just
Okay.
Okay,
How about this, Byron? How about this? So I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go there. Because I'm open to sharing my heart if someone could get some help from the perspectives that I've had, how I've grown from it, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, even though it feels like it's like I can't see a twinkle of light. I don't understand why this is happening. I just want it to end. But it's grown my faith journey so much. So much, especially in the most recent breakups that I've had. I'm referencing like sisterhood breakups, which are so painful. Oh my gosh. Those hit different. A friend breakup and then a romantic breakup. So I'm kind of like jumbling them all together, but that grief is so complex and it comes in waves too. And I feel myself coming out of the bargaining phase. And the bargaining phase in grief, and I went to therapy for this. The bargaining phase in the grieving process is just like, okay, well, like, this part was so good. Can I just get that part back if I do the work, and maybe we can kind of solve for a hodgepodge of where I was, right? And of course, it's different when the person has died, but like when the relationship has died and that person is still there, it's like they're kind of still the same. It's like, maybe we can have this part back. And that's not possible. And for me, I could have reached out and tried to like rekindle that specific part. But I think like actually putting something into God's hands means allowing it to die.
Yeah.
And it made me think back to a sermon just now, like years ago. Do you remember the sermon on King Agag? There was a sermon that was given at church, and I was so confused because it was the first sermon that I heard of this nature of like where somebody had to die in order for something in God's prophecy to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's awful. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why does somebody have to die? And it's because of what King Agag represented and how he was literally hindering the growth of something that God ordained because of the way that he was. And because he was still living and breathing. Granted, I need to go back and do a refresher, so like, don't quote me.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what? Why does he have to die? He's like, no, like that person was intentionally standing in the way and hindering growth that was important to God's kingdom. Mm-hmm. So it had to die. And so that made me think differently about death, in that it's like, okay, if God knows everything, he's omnipresent, he's omnipotent, he knows me inside and out, he knows my shortcomings, my weaknesses, all that, yada, yada. And he still allowed for this relationship to die, like without my hand too. It was wild because like the last three that I'm referencing, like the sisterhood one, the romantic one, and the friend one, all of them were like not by my hand. Like it was just like a bomb went off, and like I didn't do anything. Like that person didn't necessarily do anything in one situation. There wasn't anything specific that I could be like, it's this and this is why it has to end. It was just like this. It feels like we're dying. Like it feels like what we have built is no longer as vibrant as it used to be. And we could keep it, but I have a feeling it's not coming back. It's like have you ever seen like one of those like emergency shows, like where someone's doing a CPR and like that person is gone and like everybody else is like just letting them go? Yeah. It's just like, hey, like, it's like they're gone. I'm like, nope, I have hope. It's just like, you shouldn't have hope. You need to transfer your hope somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It's hard. And it comes in stages, but there is light at the end of the tunnel because God has not left you. So now I don't
feel like it.
I know, and it doesn't feel like, and that's why I'm saying, it's like,
a long tunnel.
Yeah, it's a long tunnel, and emotion. You can make it longer. You can make it longer by letting your emotions drive. It's a long ass. Here's the thing. So energy and motion.
I don't like running.
Listen. Energy and motion can also be a circle.
Drill a hole.
Energy and motion can also be a circle.
Different tunnel.
And you could also be trapping. You also could have made that tunnel yourself. There could be no tunnel. And God wants freedom for you, right? And you're choosing to stay in the tunnel of darkness.
Nigga, walk out.
Walk out. He's like, get out. Like, I gave you the power. The same power that resurrected Jesus, I have given you, and you're choosing to not use it. It is not saying, and now I'm kind of talking like from a standpoint that I was at. It's not saying that what I had with this person wasn't special, wasn't one of the greatest relationships that I've ever had in my life. It's just time for it to die. Mm-hmm. And it may come back, just like seasons, because God is the Lord of harvest, okay? And in order for there to be a harvest, right after the harvest is what? So in the fall, you pick everything, and then what happens after that?
It dies.
Winter. And then what's after winter?
Spring.
Spring is on its way. And it may not be
in the... come right now.
I hear you. Spring may not be in the form of that same relationship coming back, but if you let God finish the work that he started in you, James 1, James 2, James in general, if you let the perseverance finish its work, mm-hmm. You can be a better steward of the greatness that God is calling to you, even in a relationship. Like, I wholeheartedly believe that God is going to bless me with a Herculean blessing Olympian of a man that is beyond my imagination. I'm just not ready for him yet. And I would rather God continue to finish this grueling, painful process than me trying to stay in a tunnel and view certain people that I thought was the husband that God had for me, and me just kind of stay in that tunnel. So I'm gonna let him finish the surgery that he's doing on my heart and my spirit right now to prepare for that. I started kind of going off on a tangent. It's hard. It sucks. It's awful. Actually, it's awful. It's awful. I've cried a lot, okay? I've cried a lot. I've lost a lot of hours of sleep, and there have been some days like where I can't conjure up the faith to be like, God is working. No, I don't feel the work. I think you lied to me.
Church cliches be blowing me, bro.
I'm like, you are lying to me, bro. I'm like, shut up. Like,
God will provide. Shut up.
shut up.
You don't know now, but later you understand. I want to understand now.
Right now.
Right now, dog.
I want expediency
Now.
right now. Right now. And actually, I was recently, having a stroke. I came back to.
It's autistic rush.
I came back to.
I shouldn't have said that. That's okay.
You should cut that out. There's a verse, and I'm getting better at quoting scripture directly. But there's this meditation that I listen to very frequently, and it talks about anxiety and releasing the control you think you have, because we actually don't have any control.
Zero.
We have none.
Negative. We have negative control.
Zero. And Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I was like, I'm weary and I don't feel the rest. I'm weary and I feel like I'm boxing.
I'm very much restless right now.
I am boxing. I am not winning. I think I'm in a chokehold.
Bro.
Like this WWE, somebody just hit me with a tombstone, a chair, a table.
I am breathless.
The rings on fire.
Yeah. Bro, one of the best things I heard Brother Hubbard say is, or an analogy that he gave, is the one with the Roadrunner. And from Looney Tunes, he was always like, why is this stupid bird always escaping the coyote? Because the coyote schemes and he plans and he spends money and he builds things, and this nigga just runs all over the place, up and down the road, up and down the mountains. This nigga literally floats midair while the coyote sinks to the ground and blows up constantly. And he's like, why? It's like, because he's got a deal with the writer. The writer will always write him out of the situation every time, no matter how bad, no matter how crazy, no matter what the coyote buys, or no matter what he schemes, no matter what he does or thinks or tries to do. He is covered by plot armor every time. So yeah, I get it. The fight's fixed. I got to deal with the writer, the ultimate creator, but it feels like I'm losing.
Here's the thing though. Sometimes you might be adding additional fights that God didn't set up for you.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like this most recent season that I'm emerging from, I'm waiting for the blossoming to happen, but I set up a lot of those fights and I didn't have to go through those. Like there was one fight specifically that God said, I need you to pass this test. And I was like, bet. And I bodied that. I got an A+. And then right after that, like, remember in Fairly Odd Parents when Crocker just loved giving Timmy F. Like, you failed, fumbled, you're not coming back, you cannot pass this class.
Fairly Odd Parents F. Bro, why did they hire that nigga? He was spazzing constantly.
He was gray. He was gray. He had gray skin.
Bro, so was the bully. The bully was gray as hell too. That was a grown man.
That was a grown man. No, that was a grown man. A grown man with acne. But no, there were a lot of fights that I kept wandering outside of the ring that God had me in. He was like, I was about to deliver you, but like you kept wandering outside the ring. You wanted to go to other fights and fight other fights for people that I didn't ask you to do, and that's why you're beat up. Mm-hmm. That's why you're beat up. You keep fighting other fights. And what you really start to wrestle is God himself. Yep. Like Jacob wrestled and then he was like, wait, I'm wrestling with God all night long. That's goofy. Jacob was a wrestler. Okay. When I learned that Jacob was a wrestler, it means that he would go find people, physically attack them, and he wouldn't let them go until they gave up their money or like whatever they had on him, right? So I forget the entity that he picked a fight with, but then he realized, oh, this ain't this ain't man, this is God. And he's wrestling all night long. He's like, all right, bet. I'm not letting go until you give me a blessing. He was like, I thought you would do that. I thought you would do that. It's because I know you. It's because I know you. So even when you go and find your own fights, God is going to find a way back to you because he never leaves you. But you also have to trust him and hand over.
You got to let go.
You got to hand over your shit.
You
hand it over. Go. You have to let it go. Because sometimes the things you're holding on to are actually more toxic to the things that they're being contained in. Like, if you keep holding on to negativity, he said, she said, like all of this stuff, like if you hold on to it, it's doing more damage to you, the vessel.
Yeah.
Let it go. And it's a process. And I feel like a lot of people think like letting go is like an immediate release. And for some people it is.
Oh my God, it is not.
No, it's a daily thing, which is why you have to renew yourself daily in the word.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. You have to choose every day. Yeah.
Multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day. There was actually a conference that I came from, and it was amazing. It was a women's Christian conference. And there was a speaker who was talking about how like she overcame suicide. And she was like, no, like I tried multiple times and God would block me. And she she was like, let me just tell y'all something. I still wrestle with that. It's a daily battle. It's not something that you overcome. It's something that you continue to wrestle with daily. So like depression, you have to fight that off daily. And sometimes it'll feel far, sometimes it'll feel close, other times you won't even recognize it. But you have to stay vigilant, which is why you have to remain in the word, because it's your weapon. Mm-hmm. It's a light to your feet. So no, yeah, it's a daily renewal. And like sometimes I have to remind myself, like, did I do the right thing by leaving? Like, should I have stayed and fought? Should I have stayed and prayed? Should I have stayed and fasted more? And it's like, nope, I told you to leave. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna cry right now, Jesus Christ. But
this is a safe space.
Oh, thanks. I'm dehydrated, so I can't cry. But yeah, it's a daily decision. It's a daily renewal, and it's a daily refreshing of the connection with Jesus. And he's like, no, I've got you. You did the right thing. You listened to me. You strayed pretty far off, so we had to walk back, because we are gonna walk back. It's a walk back. It's not a light. It's not like oh, Jesus, come get me in like a light speed, like what's it like beat me up, Scotty type thing.
Beat me up, Scotty.
It's not like, all right, let's go. It's like, nah, we gotta walk back. We gotta walk back. And if you're intentional and you allow God to reveal to you like what your mistakes were and accept the grace and, mourn over that. Blessed are the mourn. That's Beatitudes, Matthew 5. You're going to be okay. But you have to surrender and be willing. Having that willingness and that surrenderance, I don't think that's a word. Surrenderance, I'm going to keep it. Surrenderance. It's a daily decision. And grieving is I feel like it's a cyclical process. Like it kind of like goes in waves. Like sometimes you can bounce back to denial, and then you can bounce back to bargaining. You can bounce from acceptance back to shock. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that whole pathway too. Like there's so many small things. It's like, oh, like should I text him happy birthday?
Like, it's those things that be reeling you back in.
Should I do that? Nah, I shouldn't do that. No. And you have to be careful too, because the enemy, he knows your heart. He also knows the word too.
Yeah.
He knows the word, and he knows your past. He doesn't know you intimately, but he knows your past. He knows like birthdays. She loved birthdays. Shoot her a text. Do it later. So it's not like first thing in the morning, but it's like later. So like they know they're not like first on your mind, but like you still get to talk to them. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, they're going to be at this gathering. Should I go? It's like, no, nigga. Like, no. But wrestling with those questions is healthy, but you have to be careful and vigilant. I can go on this all day.
Yeah, I know you can. And we'll end here pretty soon, but there's only one last thing that I wanted to bring up. We've talked about this before, the idea of the Holy Spirit. And I know you and I are both like kind of going through the same phase in life right now, like, or at least pretty similar, to where we're entering phases where I have literally been like bombed into leaning on more on God, and that's been beneficial for me to study the Word more, meditate, pray, and all that kind of stuff. And as you do those things, and you invite the Holy Spirit, and like the more you read, the more you meditate, the more you'll hear God clearly, and the more you'll feel the Holy Spirit more. And for me recently, what I confirmed about myself, as I've been studying and as I've been intentional about like really trying to nail down my discernment, is anytime, and this relates back to when we talked about emotions earlier as well, is if you let your mind steer in that direction, right? I'm able to like reel myself back in, but it's not in the way that the Holy Spirit does. And for me, like, say I'll go off on a tangent in my own head, right? It's like, hey, buddy, come on back.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I'm standing at a doorway, and I know I'm not supposed to go in that direction. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be thinking about these things, but the temptation to just dive back in, you almost like want to go back in. You almost want to think about the bullshit that happens. You almost want to go back and you almost want to feel bad about it again. You almost want to.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, come on back. And I feel like I'm standing at a doorway and I'm being tugged back to being at a more stable place. And I even asked myself, it's like, okay, Byron, like I get you've been studying, but it's like, how do you know that's the Holy Spirit talking to you? And it's because that isn't how I speak to myself. It's warmer. It's comforting. It's gentle.
Wow.
And for me, that's not, unfortunately, I'm not there yet. And I'm working in that direction, but that's not how I speak to myself. For me, it's more like, nigga, why you, come back, nigga, get over here. Like when it's, in my opinion, when it's the Holy Spirit, it's like, hey, buddy, like this isn't going to help you. Come on back. And I'm almost getting emotional, like just talking about it right now, because it confirms for me, like the work that I'm actually doing is getting me into a better place. Yeah. Because I used to be haunted earlier this year. Like I was haunted by certain things that took place. I couldn't get my mind off of it, and I had to make sure I was intentional about what I was listening to and not putting myself back in that place. But as I've read more of the Word and meditated and prayed, now it's like I'm standing in that doorway, and then it's like I feel a hand, or I feel a tug. It's like, hey, buddy, like, come on back. And at least that's how I know that my work has been beneficial. But I just wanted to get that out. But yeah, it's been good for me recently. And I'm grateful and thankful for you guys, and yeah, just grateful, man. Appreciate you, buddy.
You're welcome.
I think it's human to want confirmation and affirmation. I think you just have to train your hunger about where you get it from. And it takes a long time to develop an appetite for something when you're so used to satiating yourself on something else.
Yep. That's huge.
And a struggle for me in my Christian walk for a long time. I feel like only recently have I started to lay down this addiction that I have to dwelling in certain places in my mind, because that's the closest that I can get right now. And what I had to learn is that if you stay in that place in your mind, it'll start to augment your vision of what's actually happening in reality.
Yeah.
And you will make decisions from that mindset that don't actually match, one, reality.
Yep.
And two, God's reality for you. And you will mess stuff up if you don't have your mind, if you're not feeding your mind with the Word and what it actually says, not what you want it to say, and you allow it to form and mold you. There's this will be my last point. I'll shut up. But I was making my vision board because I was struggling with vision earlier this year because I was just like, what was me? What was me? There's nothing else I can do. I'm worthless. And it's like, that's not true. That's a lie. I had to wait for God's voice to be louder than my own voice was with that lie. So now that God's voice is prevailing over that lie and I don't hear it anymore, I was able to finally kind of be in like a dream mode. Like, what am I looking forward to? What do I want to ask God to bless and give me anointing in, or reveal anointing in, or, direct me? And so one thing that I put on my vision board, it's in Jeremiah, about when God sent Jeremiah to the potter's house. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I want you to pay attention to how the potter is molding the clay, and the clay doesn't move unless that hand is there. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I want you to, he was using an analogy to think about, you are the clay and I am the potter. You don't move unless I say so. If you fall, I'm going to catch you. If you veer off, I'm still going to catch you. Going up requires pressure. Mm. It requires direction and gentleness that only I can give to you. And I need you to trust me, because even though it feels like I'm thinning you out, I'm actually growing you up closer to me. So
it's amazing. Anyways, really appreciate you coming on, stepping in. Beautiful episode, as I expected. Didn't really follow a schedule, but just kind of let the conversation flow. And you're like, oh, I need a plan, I need a schedule. And it turned out beautiful. So that's it for today. Thank you for those that have tuned in. If you're new, hope this was beneficial for you in some way. If you're a recurring listener, thank you once again. But yeah, come back next time. Thank you. Peace.